Hi, this is William Allen again. This is my case study for EDL 850. It follows a struggling school, some well-intentioned parents and teachers, and a concerning issue of copyright laws. So first we got to establish the facts of this case. So who was involved? Mr. Sample is a third-year principal who is not a local to the town, but he has worked hard to build some meaningful relationships. Mrs. Lin is the library and media specialist, as well as our technology go-to after the computer lab is acquired. There's also Mrs. Williams and Mrs. Brandon, who are both third grade teachers, but play slightly different roles in this case. And there is the PTA and other teachers that are associated with this incident as well. So looking at where it occurred at a school called St. Regis. It's a rural school district 25 miles from the nearest city. It has a whopping 420 students K through 8, which seems small, but I grew up in a town where there's a little over 300 people in the whole town, so that seems pretty big. But after these students get to high school, they are bused into the city, which is a long bus ride, so that they can attend high school in the city. And finally, what did occur in this incident? So the school worked hard to raise money for 20 computers to share. They worked really hard fundraising, and they delegated the money so that they could purchase computers. They also were given the choice to buy software programs to use on these computers. And finally, in an effort to save money, Mrs. Lin obligingly, after teachers inquired, copied the software for use in the classrooms without permission. And then Mrs. Brandon and Mr. Sample are concerned at what this means for the school. So now to establish if any legal or ethical issues are present. So it seems pretty clear that yes, some legal issues are present. Was there harm done? So harm has been done in the sense that copyright laws were in fact violated. So the publishers of this software or the producers of this software were not profiting when they should have been profiting. And then it could be harmful to the school. If this is found out, it could be very harmful to the school. So was a law broken? It seems yes, in fact, that they violated, Mrs. Lin violated the Copyright Act of 1976 and its amendments. And was there a contract breached? I would say that yes, a contract was breached. When you purchase the software, you are contractually obligated to abide by the terms attached. So even though it might not have been written, you agreed to terms and services. So yes, you were contractually obligated to follow those terms. So to kind of summarize what happened in just one sentence so that we can see what's going on. Even though there are mixed feelings on the issue, copyright laws were indeed violated, which could result in the school facing monetary damages and/or legal ramifications. So again, kind of the key players and the key aspects of this case study. So Mrs. Lin and some other teachers and at least one member of the Parent-Teacher Association seem to be on the same side. They don't find that there's any issue making copies for classroom use. Who's going to find out? It's going to help our students and save money, so it's a win-win for them. But on the other side of the issue, Mrs. Brandon and Mr. Sample do seem to be concerned because this is a legal matter and it could be damaging, so they seem to be on the other side. Again, the place St. Regis, they are struggling with funds, so it makes sense that they would try to save money, and it's a closely knit rural community. And the program we're looking at K through 8, there's just 2 grade level teachers per class, and there's 2 special education teachers for the whole school. One deals with the lower half, and one deals with the upper half. So after looking at this information, we got to kind of prioritize our situation and see what issues could arise. So could there be damages that result from the actions that have taken place? Yes, again, monetary damages or even legal ramifications could be could face the school, or the school could face these if they are caught. There are a lot of stakeholders: the parents, the students, the teachers, the PTA. All these people were involved with acquiring the computer lab, so I believe that any decision that's made should be shared out with all of them. At this point, do we have enough information to make a decision? I believe that there is enough information to move forward. Now, there are several options that we can explore, but it's fairly cut and dry that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. So some of our options, we could simply ignore the issue at hand or take no action. Hope that we are not busted or caught, and hope that the consequences will not follow the actions. Mrs. Lynn pointed out, who's going to know? It's a rural community. No one's going to care about these little discs that we copied. So we could just ignore it. We could do something more drastic or comprehensive. We could potentially terminate Mrs. Lynn for her actions if we determine that she did it knowingly. We could terminate Mrs. Lynn. We could destroy the copies of the software immediately. We could further educate the staff on policies or establish policies if they're not already in place on how we're going to conduct ourselves in these matters to prevent future damage. Another option, kind of in between or less drastic, would be to destroy the illegal copies of software. Again, educate the staff and even the PTA on policies if necessary, and to warn Mrs. Lynn of any further violations. So not to terminate her, but to warn her in the future that actions like this could result in consequences. And then the last option, we could contact the publisher and ask for permission to make these copies to help our students out, to explain our circumstances, that money is limited, and see if they're willing to work with us. Again, if we don't have permission, we're going to destroy the copies that were made. And once again, educate the staff and PTA on policies. I believe that is a very essential aspect of any course of action. So looking at kind of the pros and cons, so to ignore it would be easy. It would be nice to just sweep it under the rug and ignore it. But we would be risking liability for the school, and we would be acting unethically. Option 2, terminating Mrs. Lynn seems a little harsh in this instance. Doesn't seem to be grave matter. Again, destroying the copies of the software immediately and further educating the staff. So I think both of those are good steps to take, and we're going to prevent future issues from occurring, hopefully. Option 3, once again, it's good to destroy the illegal copies. Even if you're not found out, it's still unethical to possess these copies. And then once again, I'm going to drill it home. We're going to prevent further issues by further educating the staff and even other members that need to be educated on this, the kind of weight that this matter holds. And then the last option, I think contacting the publisher and asking for permission. I've had experience with working with companies, and a lot of them are willing to work with small schools and any school really. So I think that this could be beneficial to help out our students. Again, if not, we're going to destroy the copies and once again educate the staff and PTA on policies involving this kind of matter. So looking at the best option, I would say that the last option, our option 4, would be the best route to take. So again, contacting and asking for permission, destroying the copies if permission is not given, and educating the staff on policies. So why would I choose this option? It could potentially benefit the school. So I think Mrs. Lynn had a great initiative to try to help out the school. I think that it would be great for our students and teachers to use it in the classroom, and asking permission would be the most logical step for me to see if we could do this and see if they're willing to work with us. Once again, the education part, we're going to prevent further issues like this from occurring, just so we're all on the same page. And as we're addressing this, again, we're going to affirm the Parent-Teacher Association and Mrs. Lynn for their initiative, but still warn of the repercussions that could follow. Warn them of the logical progression that could occur if we are indeed caught, and how this is a bad deal. And again, drastic measures don't seem to be necessary unless Mrs. Lynn is still uncooperative. Unless she's not willing to see reason, then further steps might need to be taken. But I don't think anything like termination should be considered at this point. And finally, looking at how we're going to implement it. So the first step I would take, again, is to call the company to see if it's permissible to use those copies in this certain scenario. Secondly, destroy it if it is impermissible that the school is not violating copyright laws. So it is not okay that the school is violating copyright laws. And then meet individually with Mrs. Lynn, again, to affirm her that she has a great goal in mind, but she needs to be aware that it could have consequences for everyone. And then finally educate at a staff-wide level, on a PTA-wide level if necessary, on the dangers of violating such laws. So even though we're a rural school, our chances of getting caught are slim. It's still a very grave matter that we're looking at, and we need to be careful, especially in instances surrounding copyright laws. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.